So when political people say a district is flippable, what do they actually mean? We don't mean somebody looked at your individual ballot. Your vote is secret and should stay that way. What it means is strategists, organizers, analysts see an opening based on bigger patterns, how groups of people in that district have voted across several elections, how close the margins have been, and whether something about this race might change the usual result. So flippable means possible. It doesn't mean guaranteed. First, we look at past results, not just one weird election, presidential races, congressional races, statewide races, primary turnout, the patterns over time. Then we look at the map. And this is where I need people to remember that district maps are power documents. In Texas, Republicans have controlled state government since 2003. The party in power gets an enormous say in drawing the lines after each census. Modern mapping tools can use detailed voting and geographic data to predict how different communities are likely to vote as a whole. So it doesn't mean every outcome is fixed. It means that the playing field was designed by somebody, and you should always ask, who?
Why are we here? Because congressional redistricting is allowed.
Exactly. It is allowed, but allowed is not the same as neutral, necessary, or beyond public scrutiny. Texas Republicans redrew congressional maps between census years while openly pursuing more GOP seats. That tells you something important. They don't think the political ground is as fixed as Texas is a red state. That story would have you believe. Third is turnout. Who will actually show up? This is where apathy becomes part of the equation. If people are confused, feel like their vote doesn't, it's not going to matter, or think the process is just too much trouble, some of them don't vote. And the people who benefit from low turnout don't have to win an argument with you if they can convince you it's not worth participating in the first place. Apathy is one of the hardest things to overcome because it feels rational when the system is exhausting, but it's still part of the math for those in power. And finally, voting rules. This is the part that gets treated like fine print when a news outlet calls the district flippable. Texas has what it calls an SOS online voter registration application. Sounds online, right? But if you are registering for the first time here, you still have to fill it out, print it, sign it, and mail it. If you moved here from a state where online registration actually means online registration, you could reasonably miss that extra step. Texas also accepts a state-issued handgun license as a photo ID at the polls. A Texas State University student ID, though, is not on the list. There is an alternative process for voters without the approved photo ID, but that's a whole other process you have to know exists and be ready to use. Election security matters. The public, though, still gets to ask, what specific problem is this rule solving? What burden does it create for eligible voters? And is there a less restrictive way to continue protecting the ballot? And this is why we are talking about flippable districts right now. Texas is a red state gets repeated like it is a law of nature, like it's the weather and the rest of us are just supposed to dress accordingly. But the story misses what is happening on the ground. A Fox News poll of 1,006 registered Texas voters have Greg Abbott at 50% and Gina Hinojosa at 49%. As we know, that's inside the poll's reported 3-point margin of sampling error. That is not a prediction, and it is not permission to declare victory now. It is evidence, though, that Texas will never change or is always a red state is not analysis. It's just a story people keep telling you. So a flippable district is not a prophecy. It is an opportunity. It is a place where the usual advantage can be challenged if people get registered, understand the rules, and believe that your vote matters, but most importantly, you show up. When elected officials have to compete for your vote, They have to compete for the right to spend your tax dollars. They have to deliver something besides slogans and old labels. So the next time you hear Texas will never change, do not argue yourself out of participating before the election even starts. Ask who drew the maps, who's likely going to show up to vote, what rules are shaping access, and what can I do to make sure my community shows up. That's the real cheat sheet, y'all. And that is how we turn political theater into political power. You are a citizen, not a subject. Remember to act like it, y'all.